Hey everybody, it's Ian the Kilter crafter. I hope you're having a great day today. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to show you how to craft the most fun photo scavenger hunt extravaganza that you've ever done before. Many of you may not know what a photo extravaganza hunt, I have to look at the name. Photo scavenger hunt extravaganza. Many of you probably don't know what that is. Each year for the past 6 years for my birthday party, I have held a photo scavenger hunt extravaganza, and basically what it is a group of my friends coming together, and I pair them up into teams, and then we go out throughout the community here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do, you look for the items that are on this list. Now this list is super long. It is a very long list, front and back, size 9 print, so that way I could fit everything onto it. But we're going to talk about, you don't have to make a list this long. This is just something that I wanted to do whenever this whole idea was started. Like I said, it started about 6 years ago, and it's just been growing ever since. So these are going to be my tips and tricks for how to throw your own photo scavenger hunt and what I found useful for my party planning, so that way it'll make your party even better. My first tip is planning. There is a lot of planning that goes into a huge list like this, and it also is an important part of putting the whole party together. It usually takes me somewhere between 6 months to a year to put this entire list together because there are so many different items. Planning is very crucial for this party because there are so many moving parts and everything. So let me back up a little bit and kind of explain even deeper into what this party involves. It involves bringing your friends together for that set amount of time. For me, it's usually between 5, maybe 6 hours, 5.5, 6 hours, somewhere around in there. And because of how long this list is, now you don't have to go that long at all. You can make it much shorter. You could have just the front of the page, or you could have just a few parts of it, stuff like that. So whenever you're putting your list together, don't forget that you don't have to be overwhelmed with how much you have to put on it. You can do it as short or as long of a list as you want it. Now I'll talk more about the list and what's on it in a minute, but I do want to talk about actually planning the party, because in order to have a party you need people to come. And so whenever I am starting to plan this whole party out, I always make sure that I send out a Google form, so that way I can get an idea of when everybody is available. Google Forms will be your best friend for this type of party because you need as much information from everybody as possible. So make sure, if you don't already have a Google account, that you go check out Google or sign up for a Google account, and then go check out Google Forms, because there's a lot of great things that you can do with Google Forms to help you with this party. And in general, I find a lot of uses for forms. For instance, if you're having a potluck, or if you're doing some sort of group gathering where you need information from people, like what they're going to bring, if they're able to make it, RSVP information, all that kind of stuff. It's really important and a great tool to have. It works almost like Excel whenever you collect all the data. I could do a whole separate video on using Google Forms in itself, and I'm sure that there are a lot of videos here on YouTube on how to use Google Forms and what you can do with it, and I'm sure there's a lot that I don't even know it can do, but I use them a lot also for giveaways here on YouTube. Whenever I collect your information for a giveaway, I do that through a Google form, so that way all the information is put together in a well-organized sheet that I can then use and work with whenever I'm picking a winner. I said winner. Sorry, picking a winner. So like I said, about 6 months out before the party, I send out a Google form that basically says, when are you available during this time period? And I'll put out every weekend that I have available, every day that I have available. I'm mostly available on Sundays during the weekend, so I'll list every Sunday, June through I think August, just to see when people are available. And whenever you get the information in and you're looking at your results, you can actually organize it and see what day is most clicked or what day is most available for everyone to attend your party. So after a couple of weeks of getting results in from that form, you usually see a pattern of what day is going to be the most available, or what is going to work best for everyone, so then you're able to pick which day you want to host your party. Once you've selected a specific day, then you can take that information and create another Google form that is going to be the actual RSVP for the party. On this year's form, I asked for things like name, email address, so that way I can contact everybody. I also ask for a cell number, because during the party I do send out random clues and extra bonus points opportunities. So I want to make sure that I have everybody's number, because sometimes people bring friends along for this party. So I want to make sure that I have everybody's number, so that way I can send out mass text messages during the actual event. But again, that goes further deeper into the party itself, so we'll get to that in a minute. And this is also the opportunity if you want people to bring potluck items, or if there's an opportunity for people to bring things, you can list that so that way people can see and they're not double bringing something, or everybody's not bringing just desserts. Okay, so you have a day set, and it is now time to start working on the list. My next tip is talking about the list itself. My list, again, is very, very full, but I work in categories. So for my personal photo scavenger hunts, I always do It's My Party, Open to Interpretation, The World Around You, Frightening Strangers, Give Yourself Props, and Action, and of course random shots. So all of these are different categories, and there's not necessarily reasons for these categories, but it helps me whenever I'm thinking about what I want to add to this list. And it also helps people as they're going through the list to take a look at different things. For instance, when talking about something in open to interpretation, you can use song lyrics, you can use single words, you can use all sorts of different things for that. Say for instance, there was some sort of pop culture reference, or something that happened during the past year that was social media all over the place. That would be something that I would add to open to interpretation. One year, I believe it was under that section, I put is the dress black and blue or white and gold, because that was a very prevalent kind of social media and pop culture kind of thing that was going on. So I wanted to add that to the list, and since there's no real way to like find that dress specifically, I put it in the open to interpretation, so that way people could take that and do what they want with it. Other examples of open to interpretation are things like, on this list would be a fashion crime that is being committed. So that's really open to interpretation, and there's no hard rules for that, so that's open to interpretation. Taco Tuesday, Bond, James Bond, all that kind of stuff, that's open to interpretation. That's kind of how that section works. Now, one of the highest point categories for this photo scavenger hunt list, sorry, I'm thinking really fast and I'm trying to like verbalize it as I'm thinking about it. It's My Party. That is always going to be about me. So since this is my party and this is what I want to do and all that kind of stuff, that section is going to be all about me, or stuff that happened with me, or stuff that I did the past year, or upcoming plans in the near future. So on this list we did, it always includes video a random stranger singing happy birthday to me. So we always have that on the list. There's always a picture of something with my name printed on it. And then on this one, this list actually says, I played a mad scientist twice during the past year, dressed the entire team as mad scientists. So as you can see, that year I actually dressed up twice as a mad scientist. So I wanted to include that since it was a pretty important part of my life. I wanted to see how people would kind of interpret that and bring that out. So that's why it is on the It's My Party portion. So stuff that you can relate to, or stuff that directly involves you, would be something that I would put in that category. And I always mark those with high point values. Haven't quite talked about the point values yet, but I always mark that with a high point value because I really want people to do that. In fact, I found that if you increase the point value, the more likelihood that somebody or one of the teams or something is going to do that prompt. So the higher the point value, the more likely you're going to get that item in photo. The category, the world around you, in this category I think, or look for, or whatever, things that are things that you would find in your world around you. Some examples of that would be rocks that rock, or a wireless password sign in a store, stuff that's geographically able to be found, or something that relates to something around you. You could also put, if you're in a city that has like a landmark or something that is very well known, you could add that to the list. That's kind of geographically important, or geographically, what's the word I'm looking for? It really depends on where you are. So where you are is gonna affect what you put on this list, and you know, I think you kind of understand what I'm saying. Frightening strangers is always a fun category because this involves strangers. So a lot of the time I put things on here that you will need to complete by asking for strangers' help. One of the items that's on here is at least one member in a police car. And then I put qualifiers on this because I obviously did not want anybody to get arrested. So my qualifiers are 50 points if 50 extra points if that person is in handcuffs, but minus 1,000 points if someone is really getting arrested. So I wanted to add some qualifiers on there that made sure that we weren't doing anything illegal, because in the rules I state that you don't want to do something illegal. It would make the party a lot less fun, but you know, I really wanted to include that in there. And some other things that you can do is entire team jump roping with strangers, entire team in the trunk of a car, not the team car you are in, it must be a stranger's car. I have done this one multiple times with different groups, and it's always very funny and very frightening how receptive people are to allow you to get into their trunk of their car. I don't know why it works out so well for my team, but most of the time whenever we ask somebody, they're like, yeah, sure, just climb in. It's kind of weird, but it works. And a lot of the time we're wearing matching outfits and stuff, or people can tell we're a part of the party. It's not just random strangers coming up and asking you. Well, we are random strangers, but it's not just somebody random off the street that's asking you to do this. You can tell that it's a group of people who are trying to get this stuff done, and most of the time we explain that we're doing this photo scavenger hunt. We're trying to collect these, and we show them the list and say, hey, this is what we have to do. 9 times out of 10, I've had people say yes, absolutely, jump in the back of my car. It's weird. I don't understand. But anyways, so frightening strangers, that's all involving strangers and stuff that you have to do with a stranger or multiple strangers. Give yourself props. That's the next category on this one. This is going to be items that you will need to use or find in order to complete this one. For instance, this one is, I told y'all earlier about, is the dress black and blue or gold and white. I actually put that under this category, but let's see, entire team taking shade under drink umbrellas, entire team going down a slide, things that you will need to use props for in order to complete. That's going to go into this section. So the next category that we're going to talk about is and action. These are all items that must be recorded, so you have to record them in order to get the full points on this. An example of this is choreograph and dance a Bollywood number recorded on video, plus 20 points if you can get strangers to dance in it. So because of this one, it needs to be recorded, and you want to get as much excitement and fun going on in this one. Another example would be entire team rolling down a hill. These are some items that you want to record, and it's usually a lot of fun, and it does sometimes involve strangers, so it's a lot of fun to get them involved in this as well. But just make sure that you're talking with the strangers before you're recording them or taking their picture. It's really kind of frowned upon to take random shots of strangers that you don't know. The last section on my list is going to be random shots. These are just random items, random things, random whatever, a potato, a bear, a drinking fountain, oops, I took a picture with my finger over the camera, stuff like that. That's going to be in that last category, and that's just completely random. So each one of those things on the list is associated to a point value. If you take that photo or take that video, you will then add that point value to your total points, and at the end of the day, everybody adds up all of their points to see who received the most points. Next up, I'm going to talk about some tips for the cameras that you want to use for the photo scavenger hunt. About every single person on Earth these days has a smartphone that has a camera on it, And nowadays it's a whole lot easier to use these, and these take just as good photo quality as any kind of point and shoot or anything like that. So most of the time, most teams elect to use just a single camera or a single cell phone to take all the photos with. Now you can bring a bigger camera or a point and shoot camera or whatever you use to take photos with, but I highly recommend something easy to carry around, because with my list, it's a long day and you don't want to be running around with a camera around your neck all day long. I did that mistake a couple of times. The first, I think, 2 years, I took this camera, in fact, I took this camera with me and ran around, and it's the big Canon camera that has the huge lens on it, and it was always heavy and bulky, and really I didn't need it. A simple cell phone with a simple smartphone with a camera on it will do just fine, and it's easier to transfer the photos that way as well. So typically I tell people just bring a cell phone with a camera. You also don't have to have super amazing resolution, just something to make sure that you can see the image, and that's the most important thing. Although most camera phones these days have amazing picture quality to them, so it doesn't even really matter anymore. Okay, so you have your date, you have your list, and now it's time to work on teams. It is very important, and I have a couple of tips on how to get the teams organized. The first tip is, whenever you're starting to organize your groups, I usually like to organize them so that the way they have equal members. If one team has 5 and then another one has 2, it's not really fair to do it that way, so I try to distribute everybody as equally as possible across all groups. Now, that's not to say that there aren't sometimes when groups need to be smaller, or there are some reasons why one group needs to be a larger group rather than a smaller group. And most of the time I don't go over 5. The reason I pick 5 members per team is most cars only have 5 places to sit in them, and I don't like teams taking more than one vehicle. Now, obviously, if you have a group of 50, that may not be possible, and you may need to have several members of a group in several different cars. But if you're doing a group of 50, you could even do a whole bunch of different groups and limit the number to 5. It's all how you want to set this up. If you want to set it up in a specific way, that is completely up to you and your choice. But just keep that in mind whenever planning. It's easier to get a group of 5 into a car and just have that as a team unit. Now, I have had groups go up to 6, but luckily enough they were able to drive a minivan, so that way the entire team fit in that minivan and it wasn't a big deal. So my next tip is, whenever you're organizing groups, think about circles that people are in. I have a lot of different circles that my friends are in. For instance, work friends, or friends that I've known for a really long time, or theater friends, or everybody kind of has those circles that intermingle in a lot of different places. So whenever I'm putting my teams together, I try to make sure that I'm keeping those circles together, because a lot of times those people will know each other. So I want to make sure this is a fun event for everyone, and everybody isn't the outsider of a group, if you will. Does that make sense? Basically, I want to have at least one other member on that team that that person knows, so that way it makes it a little easier and they're a little more comfortable as they're playing the game. However, if you are doing this as an icebreaker, you could definitely do this where you're pairing up people who don't know each other, so that way they all have to work together and create something really fun. I think that would be a really fun icebreaker, actually. So it's really however you want to do it, but like I said, I try to keep my circles somewhat together if possible, so that way people are more comfortable around each other and the game is more fun in general. Now, that's not to say that I will include a couple of members from one circle and then another couple of members from another circle and they all have to work together, but again, at least they know somebody. And to be honest, a lot of my circles intersect anyways, so it pretty much works out anyways. So in that Google form, I'm able to rearrange everybody. I take the line that they're on and I'll move them around, and then in a separate column I place them into a group. So I group them by color. My group is always blue because blue is my favorite color, so if you're on my team, you're going to be team blue. Then I'll label them just colors throughout the rainbow. I'll pick pink, purple, orange, green, yellow, just go down the whole rainbow list. And that's going to really help whenever you pull this whole group together, because you'll know who's on your team as you're showing up and arriving. So if these people don't know each other, they'll see what team they're associated with. And that's another thing, that whenever I'm sending out the invitations to everyone and I'm telling people what team they're going to be on, I'm also telling them what colors to wear, because you want everybody to be dressed head to toe in that color, and it makes it more fun. And also it's a lot more fun to take group photos, so that way you can see all the different colors of groups, and I like rainbow colors anyways, so it's fun to take that group shot before the party gets started, so that way you kind of have a memory, or make a memory is what I meant. It also starts friendly rivalry against teams, so as people are showing up to the party, they'll see, you know, whose team they're going to be on as they're walking through the door, so that way if somebody on team red and somebody from team green walks through, they're like, oh hey, cool, welcome, oh you're on team green, oh we're gonna beat you, blah blah blah, smack talk, all that kind of stuff. So it's a fun little way to get people even deeper into the fun. And it also helps whenever you're approaching strangers, because you're all wearing the same color. A lot of times people are wearing headgear, so like fun doodly boppers or bows or bow ties, capes, suspenders. Like, you want to deck yourself out as much as possible, so that way you know you're part of a team and other people know that it's all fun. I hope that makes sense, but trust me, when you look at all the photos, you see how much fun and how funny everybody looks, and that's a big help to getting this party going. Whenever I put my teams together, I usually put together a video that announces all the teams. I go kind of high tech because I'm a YouTuber and because I'm used to using technology. You can really go as far out as you want with it, so I will create a YouTube video that tells everybody what team they're on, that goes over the rules, that talks about, you know, what's going to happen during the day, that kind of stuff. It's a full little script that I had a voice synthesizer, I can't say that word correctly, read, and it's laid over a technical background, and I call it the robot, and his name is Kaboom, and so I say that Kaboom chooses what team everybody is going to be on and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm going to stop everybody right there because I have the feeling a couple of y'all have been asking and I forgot to address this. Well, Ian, you're on the teams, so like how can you participate but also put the list together? Like, it seems unfair. Trust me guys, it's actually really fair, because first of all, I forget what half the list says after I've created it, so a lot of the times I like opening the list on the day of is a memory refresh, and I'm just as clueless about what's on that list as everybody else is. So it's not really a big deal that I know what's on the list prior, and I don't use that to my advantage. I really try to let everybody else be the leaders, and I'm just along for the ride. I'm enjoying being with them and enjoying their company, but I'm not directly like saying, hey, this is on the list, or hey, this is something we need to go get. I let my teammates figure that out, and I let them tell me like what they want to do and where they want to go. Whenever I throw out bonus points, or there's some sort of bonus activity or bonus text message or something like that that goes out, I do stay silent on those. I do not help my teammates whatsoever, because there was one year when I hid some items in random places, and my team, or the teams, had to go find them. I didn't say where they were or like how to find them or anything. They had to read and find it. They had to find them all on their own. I didn't help at all. So it's fun because I get to be kind of like the mastermind behind this, and then I get to watch everybody else go for it. I just sit back and say, you know, I can't help y'all on this one. Y'all have to figure it out on your own. It's not a big deal, and most of the time people like don't have problems with me doing it because they usually have just as much fun as I do on these things, so it's not a big deal. Alright, so we've gotten our list, we've gotten our teams, we've figured out the day, it's time to gather everybody, we figured out what phone or camera we're going to use. It's all down to that day. Again, I create a video that kind of goes over the rules, announces everything. If I have a special guest who's going to do a special bonus award or bonus points, I will have that in a video. Whatever. We usually start right at noon. This is the most important part of this party, is like everybody needs to be on time. that's the only way that this party works. You can't really have people straggling or taking their time getting to the party or be fashionably late. It just doesn't work. If they are not at my house at noon when this all starts, like, they get left behind and they have to figure out how they're going to meet up with their team, or some of them may not have the numbers for their teammates and they kind of get left behind. So I specifically say, like, you must be on time. If you need to set like earlier, be here earlier, that's fine. Be on time though, because that's really going to help everybody out. So I print out all the lists and have them in envelopes so that way nobody can see them until I hand them out and it's time to go. Everybody opens their list and they all rush out the door, and it's time to start looking for all the items that are on the list. It's usually a very chaotic few minutes as everybody runs out the door to their cars and gets going, but a lot of fun as well. I also do provide water bottles for everybody because normally my party ends up in July or June when it's the hottest here in Texas. So I want to make sure everybody stays hydrated, and so I will provide everybody with a bottle of water so that way they can just run out the door, grab the bottle of water, and they're good to go. Which is always kind of interesting because my official birthday is in May, but it usually ends up in, like, the party ends up in June or July, so most people think my birthday is actually in June or July. Alright, so everybody's out looking for the items on the list. It is a crazy fun time of laughs, giggles, just having a blast, and it is now time to come back home. I do set a specific time that everybody must be back by. So if there is somebody who is not back or a team that is not back in time, they are disqualified. Now, of course, I'm not really going to disqualify them but don't tell them that. Like, don't tell them that I'm not going to disqualify them. But I try very hard to get everybody back in the same place at the same time, because that's going to be, again, it's going to be crucial. You don't want to be waiting for another team to show up, stuff like that. I did change that one year because it was raining and I didn't want people driving in the rain super fast and like trying to rush back and all that kind of stuff. I said, you know, we need to be back by this time, but I'm not going to disqualify anybody because that's how accidents happen and I don't want that to happen. So I was very careful, you know, use your discretion about it, but that's part of the game, is trying to make sure that you're back at the meeting point at that time. And at that point, no more photos can be taken. It all must be taken by that point, and then it's done. All right, so you've taken all the photos. It is now time to party. We order pizza, we have snack foods, soft drinks, all that kind of stuff. Everybody starts grabbing pizza and food and snacks, and I start collecting all the photos from all the teams. Now again, smartphones make it easy because all they have to do is transfer their photos onto my laptop, and I start organizing each team's photos and stuff into a folder, so that way it's easier to collect, and, you know, team orange, team green, all that kind of stuff. It's easy to see and easy to organize. Once I've collected all of the photos from the teams, I also during that time ask everybody to start counting up their points, so that way we have a point tally on the top. Now, I don't tell anybody, like, you don't want to tell anybody your score yet, you just want to start tallying everything up. And there's also going to be bonus points awarded, so we want to make sure that we have like a total, and then we'll be adding bonus points on top of that. So then we start going through all the photos. We eat food, we laugh at the photos, we laugh at each other. The videos are hysterical sometimes, and we just have a really good time looking at all the different photos and everything that happened during the day. Sometimes people will need to leave because my party is a long party. There is a long amount of time that you're out doing stuff, and so sometimes people will go and do that and be a part of the team, and then they just won't stay for looking through the photos and that kind of stuff, which for me is perfectly fine. If that's what they want to do and need to do, it's perfectly okay with me, and they just find out like what happened to the other teams later on, but it's really up to you. So we go through all the photos and we award all the bonus points and all that kind of stuff, and then it is time to announce the winner. And so we add up all the bonus points, we add up the final totals, and find out which team is the overall winner. After that, we award some fun and silly awards. One of them is the award for serving face. So if there's somebody in the running that had like made a really silly face, we'll put a couple of them together and say, all right, y'all are up for the serving face award. You know, how many of y'all want this person to win the award? Stuff like that. So you can go through and award different people different awards. Serving face, best teamwork, best photo. Those are some of the categories that I've done in the past, and they're usually a lot of fun because you're getting everybody involved and figuring out like which photos they liked and voting on them and all that kind of stuff. Once the photo scavenger hunt is officially over with, we've picked a winner, we've handed out awards, you know, the rest of the evening is just hanging out, having fun, talking, and sometimes going through some of the best photos of the day again. That's usually a lot of fun. And then that's it. That's pretty much it. I do upload the photos onto Facebook. That is a warning that I give everybody from the beginning of the day, is like, these photos will go on Facebook, and if there's specific photos that don't want to be shown on Facebook, you know, people will tell me, hey, don't put that photo on Facebook. I'm perfectly fine with it. It just stays either on my computer or with them. I don't put it out for the world to see on social media, but I don't tag people. One annoying factor on Facebook is it wants to automatically tag everybody, and one of my biggest tips is making sure if you are uploading these photos to social media, a lot of time the automatic face recognition system for YouTube will try to tag people in it. I delete those. I delete all of those off of it, so that way if you don't want to be tagged in a photo, you're not tagged in it. But then others who are friends with me are able to see the photos and see how the day went for each team, and they have a lot of fun just looking through the photos as well. And if somebody left early, they can go back and look at the photos on Facebook and see how much fun everybody had. So those are my tips and tricks on how to put together a photo scavenger hunt. It can be so much fun, and you can do it for so many different occasions. You could do one for Halloween, one for Christmas, one for 4th of July. There's so many different ways to put this party together and so many different ways to organize it and have everybody. I talk with my hands a lot. I bet y'all noticed that during the video. But there's a lot of fun that can be had with a photo scavenger hunt extravaganza party, and it would be really interesting to hear some of the tips and tricks if you've done a party like this. Down in the comments below, you can tell me more about what you did for your party, and if you have questions about a photo scavenger hunt party and like how it all works, logistics and stuff like that, always feel free to leave me a comment with your question. I will make sure to answer them as quickly as I can. So I hope you enjoyed some of the examples that I used in this video to give you an idea of how this whole party works and what it would look like and how logistically you put it together. I hope that helps, and I hope it inspires you to put together your own photo scavenger hunt extravaganza, especially if you're looking for something new and different that you haven't tried before for a party. It's a lot of fun, and I can definitely see people doing some really cool things geographically. So in different places around the country and even around the world, I can see some really fun photo scavenger hunt parties taking place. I know today's video was a little bit different, but if you liked it, give me a thumbs up and let YouTube know that you liked my video, so then hopefully YouTube will share my video across YouTube land. Also, if you're not already, hit that button down below that says subscribe. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and get great updates every time I post a new video or go live here on YouTube. You'll need to click that bell icon to let YouTube know that you want to receive notifications when I go live or post a new video. I know this video was a little different, but I had people requesting information about how I put together the photo scavenger hunt party and wanting to know more about it, so that's why I decided to do it. So your voice here on my channel is important to me, and I do listen to it and try to help everybody out and give my advice or give my opinion on these things. So if you want to see a video in specific, you can always leave me a comment down in the comment section below on any video and let me know what you want to see. You can also tell me on my social media links what you want to see in my videos. All of my social media links are down in the description below. Make sure to click that show more button so that way you can find out where I am on social media. It includes Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and more. So make sure to go check all of those out down below and let me know if you want to see something in one of my upcoming videos. I think that's going to do it for today's video, and remember guys, as my favorite quote says, normal is just a setting on the dryer. Bye!